are we are live. Uh AEW Revolution 24. Sting's final match just ended. Gonna give it a second here. I'm sure people are still watching the end of the show. Man, I don't even know what to think right now. I mean, I think the end of that entire match was, I think, what professional wrestling is all about. There was a whole range of emotions in that final match. It's still real to me. Instant reaction, AEW Revolution. We'll see how many people trickle in. It is late, 4-hour show, which is typically how these AEW shows go. 9 matches. Sting's final match just ended. They're still in the ring. I'm thinking they'll probably talk. He might talk. Darby might talk. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going live. I'm reacting. Man, what a wild final match. Lot to get to. Gio in the chat, thank you for showing up. We weren't really sure how this was going to go, but you know, Sting's final match, a lot to talk about from the show. So we wanted to keep it going. The last I went live on Friday after the Rock's promo. We did a live react. We did a bonus reaction. It went great. A lot of people watched it. We were really happy with the turnout, so we decided let's do some more of them. Do a midnight recap. Why not? Right? This is when people are looking to find out about the show. Sting's talking right now. He's still in the ring. But we'll start our reaction right now. So, by the way, for the people tuning in for the first time to one of these reactions, yes, this is the second time, just me solo. Zaslow, we will be back. Regular show tomorrow, 6:45, 7, something like that. We'll get all of Zaslow's reaction to Revolution. We'll get all of Zaslow's reaction to SmackDown. We wanted to save SmackDown reaction to what happened because that was the huge news. We wanted to have plenty of time tomorrow to talk about that. So I figured I'll react to the full Revolution show tonight. And then, Zaslow and I will do the regular show tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more Revolution. We'll get his thoughts on all the top stuff from Revolution, and we'll talk about what happened on SmackDown. But this is all AEW Revolution. And I'll be honest with you, I had mixed feelings about. We'll get right into the main event. The main event: Sting and Darby Allin tag title match against the Young Bucks. Sting's final match of his career. Sting and Darby Allin retain the titles. They win the titles. Sting's still in the ring talking. So I understand if people don't want to watch me, they'd rather watch Sting talk during his final match. I'll go back and watch that after his final match. I'll go back and watch that in a little while. But I'll be honest, I had some real mixed feelings about this match in general and Sting's final run in AEW in general. I have mixed feelings about 65-year-olds being full-time professional wrestlers, period. I didn't know what to expect in this match. But I'll tell you what, there were parts of the match where I was a little shaken up. The Darby spot was insane. I'll talk about that in a second. But overall, for what it was, they did a great job. I really thought they did a great job. The highlights that they showed at the beginning, the package that they showed at the beginning of Sting, and then having his sons dress up as his old gimmicks, the All-American Sting, NWO Wolfpack Sting, and then them getting Seek and Destroy Metallica as his music was an incredible touch. So, the way they honored him, it's unfortunate. I'm assuming a lot of highlights that they would have liked to show in that package, they don't have the rights to. WWE probably has the rights to the majority of them, particularly the NWO stuff. But still, the stuff they were able to get their hands on, the AEW highlights, it was good stuff. I thought it was a really good job. I thought they really did a great job. And again, like, I wasn't as hyped, particularly like everyone else was, for this, because Sting is, he's 65. I feel like we've seen him come and go a few times. I know this is the final one. it really it it was better than what I expected. I expected to be a little underwhelmed by it, but I thought the way the way they did the intro, the way they did the package was great. Um, but my biggest concern was that someone was going to die in this match. Like really, the way Darby Allin was talking during the week, the way Sting was talking during the week, I was thinking something absolutely insane was going to happen during this match. And to an extent, yeah, some crazy shit did happen in this match. We have you know, within minutes into the match, probably 5-6 minutes into the match, Sting and his sons are pulling glass panes, sheets of glass out from under the ring and setting them up all over the place. We don't know what's going to happen. Sting breaks one with a bat, trying to hit one of the Young Bucks. And then we see what's actually about to happen is Darby sets up one of those ladders that is astronomically taller than any normal human ladder that a human uses for work. Goes to the top of it and does a swanton bomb dive onto a glass pane that's set up on 6 chairs. And that was real glass. I mean, his back was bleeding like crazy. He had glass all in his back. It was nuts. Like that spot was crazy. I don't like those spots. If you listen to this show, if you watch this show on a regular basis, you know my feelings on Darby Allin's style of wrestling. It is not for me. It's not for me. I just don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. I feel like someone's going to get hurt every time he wrestles. I can't imagine he's not actually hurt. He's a young guy. He's pretty resilient. He does crazy shit. He does stunts all the time. That spot was nuts. I don't particularly think that they should be doing those kind of spots. I know that they went all out for Sting's final match. That spot freaked me out. I wouldn't have been shocked if he was truly hurt. And that was what I was worried about in this match. But obviously he came back in the end and he was fine. Sting takes a bump through a table. Actually, the bump through the table was awesome because then he like hulked up or whatever you call it for Sting and popped right back up, which was a great spot. Then the Young Bucks throw him through glass. Another awesome spot. They replayed the spot that they did earlier in Sting's run with the Young Bucks where they did the double super kick. Sting did the lean back like he was wobbly, and then he did the hitting his chest, told him he hated him. A lot of just good. I thought it was executed well. I texted Zaslow right as the match was starting. What are the odds? Ric Flair's taking a bump in this match, and I should have known that the odds were 100%. Ric Flair got involved. Ricky Steamboat came out at the beginning, guest timekeeper. He got involved. Overall, for what it was, I thought they did a good job. I thought it was a good way to honor Sting. It was a good final match. But, to be honest, I can't believe they won the match. I don't totally understand Sting and the Young Buck or Sting and Darby Allin retaining if that's Sting's final match. I don't know what he said afterwards. I'm assuming they didn't address the titles. I'm guessing they either relinquish the titles or they give Darby a new tag team partner. I'm not really sure what happens there. And also, you always hear in professional wrestling, especially with people from Sting's era and from back, you go out on your back. You do the job, you put over the next generation. Now, the Bucks are not like young guys or anything. And Darby obviously is the youngest guy in that match. So him winning a tag team match in Sting's final match is great for Darby Allin. But it is a little weird that if it is Sting's final match, which it's obviously they built a whole pay-per-view around Sting. It's his final match. I don't totally understand why they retain the titles. I think you could have figured out a way to book that match out. I know the crowd would have been mad, but that's wrestling. You have him get up, you hug Darby, you hug Flair, you hug Steamboat, you go out, you say your speech, I love everybody, and then it's fine. It's a little weird that they still have the tag titles after the show, but you know what? I'm not going to harp on that too much because like I said at the beginning of this, my expectations for that match were not super high because Sting is 65 years old and he's limited in what he can do. I thought it over delivered on what I expected from that match. I thought they did a really good job. I again, people who watch this show regularly, people who know the show, I have not been that high on AEW over the last few months, particularly since MJF left. And this was not a perfect show by any means. It was a good show. It was not a perfect show by any means. We'll run down the card, but the match was fun. The match was good. They did a good job with the intro. They did a good job of honoring Sting. My only gripe with it is I don't know why they kept the titles, and also like these Young Bucks, man, the EVP Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas. Who else deserves the tag titles more than them? They're incredible right now. You would think, and the rumor was a couple weeks ago that the reason this feud started, or maybe even a couple months ago, was that Sting handpicked the Young Bucks to be his final opponents. So if Sting handpicked the Young Bucks to be his final opponents, I don't understand why the Young Bucks are not tag champions right now. That being said, again, it was fine. Gio, it's a good point. Like Sting and Darby is case in point. He's retiring. Why are they retaining? AEW needs better writers. I don't know who, Gio. It's that I don't disagree with you there, but I also don't know who writes for AEW because, from what I understand, I think Tony Khan just books the show. Like I don't know that they have like a writing team necessarily. I know they've hired some people recently or in the past few months. You always see these stories about them hiring people to do creative and help out. But I feel like Tony Khan just books the show. So maybe he just needs writers in general. Maybe not just better writers. Maybe they just need writers. But look, at the end of the day, they built this pay-per-view around Sting and it being his final match, his retirement match for all intents and purposes. Although, he moved around pretty well in that match. I don't think he's ever going to go back to WWE, but I think WWE could give him a pretty good retirement too. I'm just saying. But it was cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought the beginning of it was the highlight for me, the intro package and the stuff with his sons. Not gonna lie, I got a little emotional seeing the sons come out and him do the thing with the sons. That was a cool moment. For me, Sting, I'm always going to remember Sting as NWO Sting because that's when I was like a teenager. That's my like formative wrestling years. And he is a legend to me. So I have incredible memories of Sting. I'll take you back to young Joey. I'm Jewish. My theme for my bar mitzvah was professional wrestling. And we had an NWO Sting impersonator come in to my bar mitzvah. That's my memories of Sting. Yeah, I'm putting that all out there. But that really happened when I was 13 years old. So that's how I remember Sting. Those are my memories of Sting. He's a legend. And for some reason, I didn't think I was going to care a ton about this final match. But once it started, I was like all in. Man, I was all in, and I thought it delivered. Other than the finish, let's see what AEW does there. I don't know what's going to happen with the tag titles. Maybe they'll do another tournament, or something like that, or maybe Darby just gets another partner. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I really thought it was fine. And I was happy with it. Good for Sting. I'm gonna have to go back and watch and see exactly, what he said after the show. And the scrum is, I don't know if it's started or if it's about to start. It looks like it hasn't started yet. So I'm sure they'll talk about it. Maybe it'll get addressed in the scrum tonight when the media talks to Tony Khan. We'll see what happens with the tag titles. But overall, I thought it was gonna, especially given the two matches before the main event were incredible. So the fact that this main event, this tag match, lived up even a little bit is impressive, because I thought that the world title match was unbelievable. And obviously Osprey and Takeshita was incredible. I mean, people are talking match of the year, whatever, all that stuff, and rightfully so. I actually got to go back and watch that match again because there were so many cool moments in that match that I feel like I don't even remember them all now. An hour and a half later, like so much happened in that match. It was great, but the main event lived up to it delivered to me, given what it had to follow, which is a tough spot to put a 65-year-old man in. But you had great dance partners. You had the Young Bucks. So my only thing would be Young Bucks should probably be tag champs right now. But hey, we'll take it. We'll take a good match like that. We'll take a good match. Sting goes out. He goes out the right way, and it was fine. Wow. I mean, really, I had a lot going on in my mind at the end of that match. I honestly didn't think I would talk about that. I talked about that the main event for 15 minutes. I can't even believe that. I thought I was gonna probably breeze through the main event and get straight to the title match because the title match was incredible. For anyone watching, by the way, really appreciate it. I mean, look, I didn't expect pretty much anybody to be watching this late at night, but really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's still real to me. We'll do the full show tomorrow with Zaslow. He'll be back. We'll talk everything and all of wrestling. We'll continue. We'll get Zaslow's full thoughts on, Revolution and all that. This is just an instant reaction, something we're trying to do more, trying to grow a little bit, trying to get you guys more content. Hit the like button, please. It really helps. A lot of people watched last episode. Not a ton of people hitting that like. A decent amount, but not as much as we'd like. So the like button, hit it. Hit the subscribe button. Leave the comments. Gio's always in there doing his thing. I appreciate you being here late night. But yeah, so that was that's where we're at with. So the Sting's final match was great. I want to talk about the title match, the triple threat for the title. Like, it started off a little slow, admittedly. It did. It started off a little slow, but man, I thought the story that's being told in that match is truly like fantastic. Again, it's another one of those things where I tend to shit on AEW here a little bit, it's particularly recently, about the storytelling or the lack thereof. Although I have always given props to this Hangman Swerve storyline. What they have going on with Hangman and Swerve is it has a chance to be generational, in my opinion. And I think there's probably people I haven't seen as much on Twitter as I expected, but I definitely think there's probably a lot of people who are not happy that Swerve didn't win the title. Swerve is so damn over. At the end of the match, Prince Nana tries to give him the crown. He gives it back to him. So Swerve's obviously a face now. Hangman is obviously a crazy heel now after what happened in that match. But I mean, that rivalry could carry this company. I truly think, given the right positioning and the right writing and storytelling, that company that is something that can really prop this company up. That is a feud. Those two guys together, it's like magic when it comes to storytelling and drama and the in-ring stuff. It's so good. And I thought, and I love that there's this added layer in this triple threat match of, you kind of always felt like Joe was going to retain, even though, going into it, it's like, if any of these guys walks out as a world champion, you're not going to be shocked. But then there's always, throughout the whole match, especially because of what happened on Dynamite with Hangman saying, I will die before Swerve becomes the world champion. There was always this feeling like Joe's going to win this, not necessarily because he won the match or he was the best wrestler in the match, but because Swerve and Hangman are so focused on each other. Especially Hangman and how he's focused on Swerve. You always kind of, or at least I always felt throughout the whole match, Joe's winning this match. And generally, I always talk about, I don't like to know. I like to feel like I have no idea what the outcome of the match is going to be or where we're headed in the match. But I'll tell you what, I felt the entire time like Joe was winning that match, and Joe won the match, and I was thoroughly entertained. I thought it was incredible theater. The work that Hangman is doing right now might be the best of his career. the bug eyes, the mustache, the craziness. There was a point in the match where it was either Joe was pinning Swerve or Swerve was pinning Joe. I don't really remember. And Hangman beat the shit out of Bryce Remsburg. I audibly popped watching it in my apartment. I was like, this is incredible. This is like some true, not even like heel stuff, like psychotic, psychopath type of stuff. Like these are the lengths that now this version of Hangman will go to make sure that Swerve does not become the champion. Everything he did in that match was to make sure that Swerve was not champion. And it was remarkable. And I will say this, I don't know if I'd go this far, but Excalibur did say something at the end that I thought was a little interesting. Hangman ends up tapping to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe retains. And Excalibur poses the possibility that did Hangman tap because he needed to tap? Or did Hangman tap because he knew if he tapped, then Swerve wouldn't win the title? I don't know that I buy that it's that deep, but it's a great layer to the storyline because that's where we're at with Hangman. I think we could get to a point where Hangman and Swerve, one of them wins the title, and the two of them could fight for that title for years. I mean, it won't happen, but like we could have a situation. I wouldn't mind at some point seeing like a series of championship matches between these guys where it just bounces back and forth because it's such a crazy rivalry that it could get to that point. They're both, obviously Hangman's already been champion. Swerve will be champion. Swerve might be the most over guy in the whole company at this point. I actually think you kind of have to say he is, right? He's just that dude right now in AEW. He's so good. And also, shout out, I mean, Prince Nana comes out doing the big pressure, the dance. I mean, he's awesome. But Swerve is so good, and Hangman in this role, he's just crazy and awesome. And I thought the whole story was great. Again, normally under normal circumstances, I'd be a little disappointed that Joe's still the champion and not one of these other two guys. But the story between these two guys is so good. And Hangman's conviction that Swerve will never, ever be the champion, he will die before Swerve is the champion, is going to make it so much better when Swerve wins the title. Swerve is going to be champion. And now this added layer of where Hangman is just psychotically obsessed. Hangman doesn't even want to be champion anymore. Hangman seemingly does not care about being the champion anymore. Hangman just wants to make sure Swerve does not become the champion. And that's awesome. That is a great character arc. And it's going to make it so amazing when Swerve finally wins the AEW championship. And it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen because I don't know that they'll necessarily be just put right back into the mix with Joe. Obviously, there's still more to do between the two of them. But hey, I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm okay with Joe keeping the title for a while. You know, it looks like, I mean, for the amount of time that Joe has it now, I mean, it's been a few months. I mean, I got to think MJF's coming back soon within the next few months. It looks like maybe they're going to have Joe just keep it till MJF comes back. Maybe Joe loses it to returning MJF at some point. Because if it's not going to be Swerve or Hangman, it's not going to be one of these two guys tonight or anytime soon. Like, you know, we saw the match at the beginning of the night. Wardlow has a shot. Now Wardlow ain't winning that title. That would be mind-blowing to me. But we'll talk about that in a second. So these are the two guys currently in AEW, and the guy I'm about to talk about next. These are the two guys currently that you would think have a shot at winning that title. So if they're not winning the title right now, I could see a scenario where Joe loses it to MJF whenever he comes back, whenever that is. I don't know when it is. I hope it's soon. Because, you know, as we get further into this card, I'm not going to be as excited as I've been about these last two matches. So I'll just tell you that. I'm going to probably fly through a lot of the rest of the card. But, you know, Joe retains the title. That's fine. Swerve and Hangman doing some of the best stuff in the business right now. Those two guys are awesome. And that is going to be, I think that could be a generational feud. I think it could be a generational feud. Um, and then look, the other match that I will talk about for more than a minute or two is Will Osprey and Takeshita. Holy shit. It is hard to live up to the hype that Will Osprey uh, had coming into this company. I mean, they're strapping the rocket on his back. Not that he needed a rocket strapped on his back. He is a worldwide sort of sensation, but he's not a US sensation. So they got to make him into something. And I'll tell you what, for the people who don't know who he is, they know who he is now. That match was awesome. And by the way, Takeshita is awesome. It is hard to become a true like star in the United States if you can't speak English. If you can't cut promos, do interviews, all that stuff, and it's hard. But he's great, man. He's awesome. There were some moments in that match that he did some crazy shit. But Osprey, we throw it around a lot. It gets thrown around a lot on the internet. Aura. They talk about aura. Osprey's got it, man. Osprey just has it. That guy, the music hits, the crowd chants for him. He looks like a star. He wrestles like a star. You hear him when he talks like a star. I mean, Osprey is that dude. Mike, my hope of among hopes is that they don't waste time with him. Don't waste time. I understand that sometimes, like some of the times, the thing in AEW is, let's build them up. Let's build them up. They just got here. But then sometimes you just throw people right into the mix. Like, for example, Deonna Purazzo has only been in AEW for like a couple months. She's fighting Toni Storm. Let's give that to Osprey's got to be in the mix right away. Like, he fought Takeshita. They announced after his match that he's fighting Kyle Fletcher on Wednesday. So they're doing some type of Don Callis family United, what's it called? United Empire type thing, turn this and that. Cool. That's fine. Everyone in the Don Callis family is a mid-carder. Will Osprey is an absolute home run superstar, top of the card guy. Don't waste time. Because the last thing you can afford to do with this guy, I think, if you're AEW, because he's a huge signing for them. He is huge for them. The last thing you can afford to do with this guy is have a Jay White situation. And I'll talk about him in a second, but that guy being on the pre-show is criminal. Jay White being on the pre-show is just criminal. And for all the people who are like, oh, he has the trios titles, or he's been doing this, or he did that. Jay White debuted in AEW full-time April of 2023. He's been in the company for a year. What's he doing? Bang Bang Scissor Gang? What are we talking about? We can't have that happen with Osprey. They got to just shoot him into the main event or somewhere adjacent to the main event. He's got to be, unfortunately, what Kenny Omega has not been able to be for this company. And I understand that Kenny Omega was the champion and he is a big deal in this company, but Kenny's older. Kenny's been hurt a lot, and now who knows what's going to happen with the diverticulitis. He's a younger version of what Kenny is, right? He's a younger version of what Kenny was coming in. The presentation, in my opinion, of Kenny in AEW has been way up and down and more and just not incredible. They have the potential to rectify that to me with Will Osprey, personally. That's what I think. But don't waste time. Don't waste time. Don't do this whole, like, we're going to give him all these matches to showcase him on Dynamite and this and that. Make him a big deal right away. Make him, because he is a big deal. That match tonight was, and that's what he does in every match, by the way. If you haven't seen Will Osprey, that's what he always does. This is what he always does. What I also hope is that his style doesn't get him hurt the way Kenny's style always gets him hurt, because whatever that move was that Takeshita did, where he tried to do, I don't know if it was like a backbreaker or whatever he tried to do to Osprey off of the turnbuckle, and he dropped him and he kind of like hit his back. That was a scary looking move. He had a big welt on his back. I don't want to see a ton of that. I want Osprey to stick around. I know what part of what makes him great is his style, but I just hope that his style, because in AEW, clearly, as you see Darby Allin diving 40 feet onto, through glass, AEW doesn't stop guys from doing wrestling the style they want to wrestle. I just hope that Osprey can sustain it and stay healthy and be that guy, because he could be at the top of the card, immediately. Jay White versus Will Osprey needs to happen at All In. Dude, absolutely. And I'll just talk about Jay White real quick right now, because I'm not going to talk about the pre-show. They fought on the pre-show, but he cut a great promo on the pre-show, and he said at Big Business in Boston, he's going to remind everybody why he was the catalyst of professional wrestling. He's going to remind everybody who Jay White is. I was hyped. I don't generally watch pre-shows all that often. I was hyped listening to Jay White, and all I could think was, what is this? What is happening here? Why are they doing Bang Bang Scissor Game? They have, especially in a time in AEW where people are injured, people are leaving, MJF's out, Adam Cole's injured, CM Punk leaves, Kenny Omega's injured. The top stars, they just aren't there right now in AEW. And you have Jay White on the pre-show. Jay White is he's a top tier, top level star. Hopefully that promo that he cut saying at Big Business, I'm going to show everybody why, I was the catalyst of professional wrestling. Hey, who knows? Maybe it is him coming out and saying, hey, Will Osprey, me and you, let's go. That is a main event type of feud that I'm talking about. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the title, but I don't need to see Will Osprey fighting a bunch of, no offense to Kyle Fletchers, a bunch of Kyle Fletchers and a bunch of Takeshita's. No offense to Takeshita, great wrestler. Give me like the top level feuds for him right away. Take him to the top right away. But it was an awesome match. I'm going to go back and watch that match again because I feel like I missed some stuff. He did the Styles Clash, which was sweet. So I thought that was cool. Gian, just seeing this interesting point. Oh, back on when I said Joe losing MJF. That would make sense. I mean, so we'll go through the rest of the card real quick. I'll start, those were the three big matches. I guess I'll just start from the beginning and run it down real quick. Christian beat Daniel Garcia. Fine match, whatever. I know they're pushing Daniel Garcia pretty hard right now. He's a young guy. I don't think he needed to win. My only thing about this match, my biggest takeaway from this match is, why is Nick Wayne's mom on so much? I counted, by the way. There are 37 women on the AEW roster page, including Nick Wayne's mom. Only 3 of them were on the pay-per-view tonight. Toni Storm, Deonna Purazzo, and Nick Wayne's mom. What is Nick Wayne's mom around so much for? I just don't even get that part of the storyline. I mean, I get it, but like, and I'm not one of these guys who complains about how many women's matches there are on the main show versus the pre-show versus this versus that. But if I was one of those guys, if I was one of the people who complains about how many women's matches there are on a card, one of the things I'd be complaining about is, how do you only have one women's match on the card, but also Nick Wayne's mom is on the show? I mean, what are we? Gio, I don't know what you're saying, man. You said we all know why. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. You're saying somebody's in there is what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. I don't know who it is, but somebody in the company is. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I thought maybe Edge would come back, but I guess he's still hurt. Continental Crown, Eddie Kingston finally beats Bryan Danielson. It was a good match. These guys, there was the one spot towards the end of the match where they were just hitting each other with like combos in the middle of the ring and like slugging at each other. Love that spot. I love spots like that, hard hitting. What I don't like is machine chops. The chops in the corner where it's just like this. That never looks like somebody's actually getting hit. Like, it doesn't look like it hurts. Just do the regular chops. Those look really painful, and they obviously are. Cool moment at the end. Danielson finally shook Eddie Kingston's hand. Do they actually have real life heat? Does anybody know? Because Bryan Danielson pulled his hand away, and then Eddie made a face, and then Daniel, I think he said to him, I'm just fucking with you. Which I don't know if that was like part of the thing, or if he was just like, I don't know. That was a weird moment, but he shook his hand. All good. The next couple matches, like actually the next 3 matches are one of my issues. AEW desperately needs to move to an expanded pay-per-view schedule. Tony Khan, I think, recently mentioned 9 pay-per-views. Because look, 4 hours is a long time. And then if you include the pre-show, it's 5 hours. This was a 5 hours of wrestling tonight. And I don't have a huge problem with it, but it is Sunday night. I'm shocked there's any of you even watching this right now. But 5 hours on a Sunday night is a lot, especially for a show that's built around a 64-year-old. Who do we think the audience is here? Who do we think is the audience? I'm not trying to stay up till midnight to watch wrestling. I did it, but I don't want to do it often. And if you look at these 3 matches, the 8-man All-Star Scramble was a horrendous match, a horrific match. I thought it was a brutally awful match. I'm mad that it was on the show. That Wardlow wins that match. Great. We knew that was going to happen. They're hot-shotting him into a title shot. Whatever. Cool. The match sucked. It should have been on Dynamite, not a pay-per-view match. It was originally supposed to be the Meat Madness, meat thing. So because they didn't do the meat madness thing, they had a spot in the middle of the match where the meaty men all slapped each other, and then the smaller guys did the mini. It was so dumb. It was a bad match, and it could have been on Dynamite. Like, how can you not just put that on Dynamite? So, Samoa Joe retained his title, and tonight we're going to find out who the number 1 contender is. Boom. Why does that have to be on a pay-per-view? Why are we force feeding it? Because we only have X amount of pay-per-views. They got to get this extended pay-per-view schedule going because that match sucked. Roderick Strong wins the international title. Also think this could be just a TV match, but fine. I get it. You want to defend titles on pay-per-views. Cool. The match was fine. Not anything like particularly mind-blowing. It was time for Orange Cassidy to lose the title. Orange Cassidy fatigue is a real thing. He goes away for a while now. I think maybe best friends, maybe they break up. I don't know. The highlight of this match is Kyle O'Reilly shows up at the end. They offer him a spot in Undisputed Kingdom, and he hands the shirt back to Roderick Strong and whispers something in his ear. So what's happening there? And I'm not going to go too deep into it now, but if Kyle O'Reilly is going to show up and cause a rift in the Undisputed Kingdom and potentially break up the Undisputed Kingdom or try to, would that officially make the Devil storyline the worst storyline of all time? Like, the Devil and his henchmen were like wreaking havoc on the whole company, and now nobody that they wreaked havoc on is going after them. And now Kyle O'Reilly comes back and doesn't accept the offer to be in the, I don't know. But it was cool to see Kyle O'Reilly back because, you know, he had bad injuries. It seemed like he was going to be out we didn't know when he was coming back. So it was awesome to see him. He seemed really emotional that the crowd, so that was a cool moment seeing him come back. But like, it's weird. That whole story, like, you know, Adam Cole, I get it. He's hurt, but MJF goes away and now they're just going to have a bunch of mid-card titles and Wardlow's going to lose his title. You know, Wardlow's not going to be the champion. So it's, I don't know what's going on with that group. It's weird. I don't know. It's been a little disappointing since the reveal. And that's partially just because MJF's not around. I get it. But, you know, Roderick Strong, international champion. Cool. We move on. FTR BCC. Cool match. Awesome. I mean, hard hitting, action, crowd loved it. Didn't need to be on pay-per-view. Again, did not need to be a pay-per-view match. I know they've already done it on TV, so that's why they did it here. But like, we don't need a 5-hour pay-per-view. I guess that's my point. Good match. I don't have a lot to say about that match because there was nothing really to it other than, I guess, Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley and Claudio are now like a full-time tag team. Maybe they're going to go for the titles. I don't know. But they came out wearing the Road Warrior spikes. Cool. Whatever. All right. Not much there. What else? Oh yeah. And then the only other match was Toni Storm, Deonna Purazzo. Toni Storm retains. Good match. I thought it was pretty cool when they played her old music and Mariah May came out dressed as Toni Storm, sort of like the nod to Deonna Purazzo saying, I wish I want the old Toni Storm that I knew. That was pretty cool. Obviously, we're not done with this feud. Toni Storm tapped. The ref didn't see it because Luther interfered. Then Mariah May interfered. Toni Storm retains. There we are. So obviously, Purazzo is going to be in the mix, and she'll probably get another shot at some point. And then, of course, in a few weeks, I'm assuming we have Mercedes Moné. And I would think she'll be right in the picture pretty quickly too. So that could be an interesting little wrinkle for the women's division. But yeah, admittedly, there's just like nothing going on with that women's division. It's just these two. And then, the match on the pre-show was fine, but like they got to do some more because it just seems like there's not a whole lot going on there. So that's it. Overall, good show. Because the last 3 matches were so good, I'd give it like a B, maybe a B, maybe B. I think the show is a B. The last 3 matches were incredible to me. I thought all 3 of them were awesome. The rest of the show was just fine, and I could have gone with at least 2 or 3 of them not even being on the show and it being 3 hours instead of 4 hours would have been perfect. But otherwise, good show. I will say that they did a great job by Sting. For anybody who didn't catch the very beginning, Sting, I thought they did a great job by him in his final match. And I'm just saying right now, Swerve and Hangman is a generational feud, and I love everything about what they're doing there. So overall, good match or good show. I appreciate you guys tuning in late night, 12:30 Eastern post show. We're gonna try to do this more, but need the love from all you guys. Anyone watching, anybody watching now live. I see there's a few of you. Really appreciate it. Late night watching after a show. Like I said, Zaslow will be back tomorrow, and we'll do our regular show where we talk about everything in wrestling. So we will talk about what happened on SmackDown, which we haven't talked about yet. I mean, what an incredible SmackDown. The first 40 minutes of SmackDown was hard. It was remarkable. So we'll talk about that. We'll get Zaslow's full reaction on tonight. We'll get his reaction to probably the main stuff from tonight's show. I'm guessing he's not going to want to talk about, if I had to guess, he's probably not going to want to talk extensively about FTR and BCC either, but we'll get his thoughts on the top stuff. And really just appreciate it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do everything that you guys are doing to help us out. The more you guys hit the like, the subscribe, all that stuff, the more I'll continue and we'll continue to do these types of things, instant reaction, breaking news, bonus episodes. We want to do a lot of bonus content heading into WrestleMania, and we want to grow this channel. So if you like what I did here tonight, if you like what we're doing on a regular basis, the best way to help us out is to hit the like button, keep watching, go back to all the old videos and hit like on those too. It helps. It really does. We've got to get it into other people's algorithms so they see what you see, which is us, giving you the good wrestling content. All right. Appreciate everybody. Have a great night. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you tomorrow around 6:45, 7 o'clock leading into Monday Night Raw. Later.